I sat at the long oak table in my in-laws' enormous Virginia mansion, which exuded an air of ancient money. Considering ancient grudges, the air was thick with tension. The Thanksgiving spread before us could fed a small army, but the only thing weighing on me more than my wife Clarissa's gravy was the suffocating atmosphere. She wore the tight-lipped sneer she always did when she was about to reveal some arrogant little secret. I should have known something was coming. She had been too quiet. The turkey sat untouched all afternoon as her eyes darted around the room, waiting for her cue. I had just reached for my fork, steam still rising from the mashed potatoes, when she stood and tapped her wine glass. The conversation halted as the clinking of metal against glass sliced through the room like a gunshot. Her voice, brimming with false sweetness, rang out, "We have an announcement." She paused, savoring the moment. I froze, my hand hovering above the potatoes. "But we voted," she continued, her grin sharpening. "And for a brief moment, you're no longer family." The words didn't sink in at first. Instead, they floated there, absurd and weighty. Silas, her brother, let out a loud, gap-toothed laugh and raised his glass in a mock toast. His wife, Belle, clapped her hands with a piercing giggle. Even my father-in-law, Calvin, leaned back with a smug nod, as if placing a bet on a horse race. Only my mother-in-law, Evelyn, remained quiet, her calculating eyes watching me like a hawk. The room swirled with jeering applause, but I sat still, my heartbeat steady. It wasn't shock that kept me composed. It was something else, a truth I had clung to for years. They had always treated me like an outsider, a hired hand rather than family. Clarissa, still standing, waited for my reaction, no doubt expecting an outburst, rage, pleading, something to fuel her performance. But I had no intention of giving her the satisfaction. Instead, I leaned back in my chair and reached under the table for my black messenger bag. The room quieted as I pulled out a thick manila folder and set it down with a deliberate thump. "You won't need this, I suppose," I said, my voice steady, my meaning unclear until they saw what lay before them. Clarissa's smirk wavered. Calvin tilted his head, curiosity replacing arrogance. Belle's hand stopped mid-clap. Silas's grin faded, his exhaustion betraying a realization he hadn't expected. They waited. I let them. That folder didn't just hold paper. It held 10 years of their lies I had swallowed for the sake of peace. But peace had a price, and I had paid it long enough. For years, I had been the quiet one, the trustworthy one, the one who fixed their problems, footed the bills, and made their lives easier without a fuss. They assumed I would nod, maybe mutter something caustic, and let it go. Not this time. For the first time, they were looking at me as if I were holding a loaded gun. And in a way, I was... Clarissa hesitated before pulling the folder toward her. The smirk remained, but her fingers trembled just enough to betray her nerves. She thought I was bluffing. Or worse, she thought she was untouchable. The silence thickened as she flipped the first page. Then the second, and then I saw it. The moment her world fell apart. Her smile vanished. Her lips parted in a soundless gasp. And then she screamed. Not a sharp cry, not a small yelp, but jagged, piercing sound that ripped through the room like a siren. Paper spilled across the table, fluttering to the floor. She recoiled, dropping the folder as if it burned her. Silas lunged for it, skimming the pages, his brow furrowing. He didn't have to read far. The evidence was all there, black and white proof of the years they had bled me dry. Clarissa stumbled back, her breath shallow. "You're a twisted creature," she whispered, her hand shaking as she pointed at me. I met her gaze, unflinching. "Everything in that folder is true," I said calmly. "You just never imagined I'd fight back." Silas slammed the folder shut, his face dark with anger. "You've been sitting on this?" he hissed, as if I had betrayed him, rather than the other way around. I shrugged. "I've been sitting on a lot of things." Belle murmured something about lawyers. Calvin's face had drained of color. Evelyn's knuckles whitened as she gripped the table's edge. Clarissa's voice, barely a whisper, broke through the tension. "You're ruining everything." I leaned in, lowering my voice to a murmur only she could hear. "No," I said, "you did that." I'm just cleaning up the mess. And for the first time in 10 years, I felt it, freedom. I had carried their burdens, their bills, their guilt trips, because I had been nothing more than a convenient pawn in their carefully constructed world. But they had underestimated me. The contents of that folder lay scattered across the Thanksgiving table, the remains of a party no one had wanted to attend. The air, once thick with arrogance, now suffocated with the weight of long-buried secrets brought to light. For the first time, they truly saw me, and it was already too late.